Okay, now we are starting a brand new video series for that famous rock and roll band called Levi and the Levites. Now, I am sitting here in, probably not going to be able to see much, but I'm sitting here at the beautiful Garden Gate bread and bed and breakfast and family homestead in Homeland, Florida. And it's just, the sun's just going down, and we've got lots on our mind because we have been in a spectacular experience. Okay. For the famous rock and roll band called Levi and the Levites. My friend Levi is starting this rock and roll band, and he is raising up at least two brand new voices, singers, active musicians. Now, some of us have been raised in churchianity, and some of us have lovingly been introduced to various bits and pieces of what you might call the message of the Spirit of Truth. The Spirit of Truth is what matters. And the famous writer William Taylor Coleridge said, if you love Christianity more than you love truth, then you will end up loving your sect or group of Christianity more than anything else. And then when that group fails you, you will trust only in yourself. And the warning is to beware of Christian habits and groups and practices, and be constantly willing to set aside habits and practices in order to apprehend truths. If somebody puts some kind of truth on the table, and it basically ends up being an accusation towards your way of looking at that truth, you need to destroy and quickly change the half-truth or the lie, and you need to exchange it for the truth and hold up the truth, even if that means taking a stance that is different from your loved ones who nurtured you in the churchianity. This is one of the most difficult practices, is changing your habits and changing your mindset. The powerful spirits, the principalities and powers and rulers of human atmospheres, those powerful spirits do not operate in dopey little things like lust and hate. They operate in huge overarching mindsets and habits and practices that end up being sneakily self-destructive in the name of healing and positivity. Oh, I came up with a positive thing that you can do to yourself that actually makes some of the problems go away. So you do that habit, you do that thing that someone discovered, but then you ignore the fact that that thing actually is engaging in anti-Christ, anti-truth practices. So, this introduction for Levi and the Levites. What is our job? And why is this rock and roll band together? This rock and roll band is together to help gather groups of friends who all harmonize and who come together in closed private meetings and take the time. It takes lots of time. And if you put yourself into situations, and if you take infrastructure upon yourself that forces you to be busy, 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 the unaddressed issues are going to fester, and they're going to get ugly and dark, and they're going to be attached with spiritual diseases because you're too busy to literally be the doctor in your own person, in your own atmosphere, and among your own people. And it is written, Mr. Levi, you are a male human being. It is written. The woman is more easily deceived, and the woman is weaker. So you have to rise up with conviction and strength and sparkles and be the greatness. But what if you were never trained on some of the essential principles of being the greatness? What if you have not had the training in the rock and roll band music and harmony and rhythm and practice, 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 practice? Hey man, it takes practice to get good at something. It takes focus and time. Read Sirach, S-I-R-A-C-H. It's also called Ecclesiasticus. But read chapters 37, 38, and 39. It talks about the occupations of our human family and how it takes a lot of time to figure out how to be a builder and a house builder. It takes a lot of time to figure out how to be a mechanic. It takes a lot of time and focus to figure out how to deal with cattle properly. And also, the study of the Most High depends upon the opportunity of leisure or free time to study. If you're trying to get a master's degree in something, you've got stuff to write, you have things to study, you're cramming for a test. You don't have time to just hang out with your friends and your stuff and your playthings. You don't have time. You have to focus on that degree that you're working on. Well, here's where my credentials come in. People do not take the time to understand that it has been 28 years now of deep research, non-stop, night and day, listening to the great teachers, listening to the conflicts, meditating on, tragedies that I've seen happen in homes, including the homes of pastors. And all of these experiences, this is experiential learning as well as writing and research learning. And all this stuff puts me in a position of being a coach to Levi and the famous Levi and the Levites rock and roll band. So, this is your preface. This is the beginning. Greetings from Homeland, Florida, and the lovely, sweet Florida fields, filled with goats and sheep and cattle and horses. Tons of fruit trees loaded with fruit. Honeybees and all kinds of neat stuff. A series of serious study for Levi and that famous rock and roll band, Levi and the Levites.